name is Will and welcome to the Distorted Transmission for today. I'm talking to Nick from Devilskin. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you, Will?
I'm great. I did a really, really nice professional intro too. I'm quite proud of myself.
That was very
uh,
professional. I'm impressed.
Thank you. First is intros. So who's in the band for the people out there who are going to watch this and who may not know Devilskin intimately?
Well, there's myself. I play drums and I also do a little bit of songwriting with the guitar. And usually, if there's any keys, like keyboards or piano parts, that's usually me doing that. We have my dad, Paul, on bass guitar. He also kind of pioneered the early stages of the band and kind of brought everyone together. We have Nail on guitar, and Jenny Schoolander, my auntie by marriage, on lead vocals. And the other two guys do backing vocals. I don't get a microphone for reasons.
I had no idea that she was related to you somehow.
Yeah, she so around the time that she met around the time that she started in the band and they kind of started jamming together, she met my uncle on my mum's side at the same time. Fast forward, they've got a amazing little daughter, Georgia, who's my cousin, and yeah, happily married as of 2016 or 2017.
So it's quite a well. I wouldn't say it's incestuous. It's what's a better word? It's a very
Not quite.
a family orientated band, I guess. Is
Yeah,
better.
yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely it's been a positive. A lot of people kind of think, oh, what's it like being in a band with your dad or anything? But seriously, like we have very, very, very few arguments or debates or disagreements about stuff. It's I think we're very blessed to kind of have this very personal relationship with each other.
He doesn't send you to your room if you make mistakes or anything like
I left town. He can't
that.
tell me what to do anymore.
Perfect. All right. Next is the sort of history of the band, and this will tie into the fact that you're doing the anniversary tour, which is what we're really going to
Yeah,
talk about. So let's start with the history of the band. When did it actually form? How did it come to be?
2010-ish, midway through 2010. Um, Paul was really, really keen to start something new, start something fresh. And he basically kept tabs on all these musicians and bands that had really impressed him from his Axe Attack days. So he was keeping tabs on the likes of Jenny from Slipping Tongue, Nail from Juggernaut. And when he kind of got wind that those bands were slowing down, he pounced straight away and said, guys, I really want to do something here. So they spent about 12 months jamming. They had a session guy on drum, excuse me, on drums. And that drummer ended up needing shoulder surgery right around the time they had some pretty cool gigs booked. Crazy Jacks in Tauranga and some local club in Rotorua, which was a memorial show. And they really, really didn't want to pull out. So they asked me if I'd fill in for those shows. And they decided to keep me at 15 years old for whatever reason. I just started my NCEA, so I was balancing school, balancing being in a band. Had to kind of cling to my dad because I was under 18, playing in these pubs. The band's ethos was just be a cool band, be a band, similar to our favorite bands. So we wanted to write albums, we wanted to tour, we wanted to go international, we wanted to make cool music videos. There was never any other motive besides just being a band similar to our favorite bands. So by 2014, we'd released our debut album, We Rise, and we booked a tour while we were recording it. So we kind of put it out there and jumped on the road before we kind of got much feedback from the album. We'd done a few tours of the country prior to that, but this was a major one. I think it was about 19, 20 dates in total. And they just started selling out, boom, boom, boom. And by the second show, it had been a week since the album came out. We heard that it was number one in the country, and I really vividly remember sitting in our motel room in Dunedin, and the album had just gone number one for the second week in a row. And the four of us were just sitting down eating pizza, and we just cracked up laughing because no one expected this, no one aimed for this, no one tried to do this, but it just kind of happened, and we thought, let's make the most of it. Let's ride this wave until we can't anymore. And we're still here, and luckily we get to celebrate 10 years of that album, and it's really opened some massive doors for us. So yeah, it's really, really exciting to kind of look back on that, and it's been 10 whole years, and we're still kicking, we're still doing what we've always done, which is just write cool tunes and play cool shows.
I was going to ask you, what was it like being sort of that age? Because as you say, you're about what, 15-ish when you sort of joined the band initially. Was that in 2010?
2011.
Around the time of like doing larger shows, how old were you then? About 16, 17?
Yeah, it was, kind of by the time I had joined, at least in Hamilton, things had kind of picked up a little. I guess word was getting around that, Paul from his band and Nail from his old band and Jenny from her old band, they had kind of formed together. They were bringing their little posses and networks of contacts that they had made to come see this new band. They had the luxury of, again, through those connections, we were able to get into the venues in Hamilton the night before and dress up the stage because the goal was to, put on a show as opposed to just wear our instruments and play some songs and jump off stage and get pissed. We really wanted to have people show up to their local pub and have them not recognize it. And so we used to dress the whole room in red. And Jenny used to work at a costume shop, and she'd hire out costumes for the weekend and jump on stage with them. And I remember one guy, this fire breather, came out and like on the spot, like he came up to us maybe half an hour before we went on stage, and he was like, "Can I breathe fire on stage with you guys?" And we're like, "Fuck yeah!" So it was just about putting on a show and entertainment. And yeah, so by the time the album came out, that word had kind of gotten around the country. The shows were growing and growing. I just didn't think I was going to be doing something like that until I was in my 30s or 40s, because I'd watched my dad go through decades of really grinding at it and really trying to make that dream happen. And I had the same dream. I thought, it does not happen unless you put in X amount of years. But
To be honest, normally it doesn't. I guess you kind of got the springboard from your father
for
putting in
sure.
all the years beforehand. But my actual question was it daunting being 17 and then playing to these sold out shows? I mean, surely you weren't, I don't think you were psychologically prepared for being a drummer at that age in such a big band.
Yeah, I think I don't want to sound like a dick, but it wasn't so much about the size of the crowds and being nervous for this big deal because I knew it was a big deal. But that's what I always wanted to do since I was about 11 or 12 years old. I had like absolutely decided I'm going to be a drummer and I want to be in a big band and play big shows. So I was excited to be playing these crowds, but the thing that made me really nervous, honestly, was performing alongside my bandmates who had 15, 25, 35 years experience on me. I was a kid who had been playing drums for less than, just barely 5 years at that point. And I had the drive, I had the youth, I was excited. I just wanted to go, go, go. But you know, I have huge amounts of respect for all of my bandmates and the history, the musical history that they've had before Devilskin, and therefore what they brought to Devilskin. They had gone through the kind of local band, they'd all been in cover bands before, they played to nobody before. They really wanted to have a good punt at this. And this was my first time doing it. So I was a bit like, oh my God, like I'm playing with seasoned veterans here.
I watched the track Little Pills, which I think it was one of the singles that was off that album in 2014, right? It was off the We Rise.
Yeah, that was the very, very first song that the band had recorded and the first music video that we put out. So that came out actually, if I want to say 2012.
Right.
So, 6 months into me joining, we filmed that. And some of those shots, I'm 15, and then I had my birthday, and the rest of the shots, I'm 16 years old.
I was actually going to mention that. Have you seen the video recently? Because I watched it for my research for this interview, and you look about 8 years old behind the drum set. You look
Yeah,
so young. It's funny.
so young, and like, no, I'm not playing how the recording is played. Like, I'm hitting hi-hats when you can hear a crash in the recording. Yeah, oh man, it was a nightmare. But I loved it. I was just excited, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be in a cool music video just like my favorite bands. Yeah, I was a wee little pup back then and didn't really know what I was doing. I was just along for the ride and enjoy making the most out of it, and just riding the wave. But we put that song out, yeah, I think it was early 2012, and we noticed a lot of attention on the YouTube upload. And we just kind of captured that and said, hey, we'd love for you guys to request it on the rock. Would love to see how far this can go. And that's when things kind of first started taking off on a national scale. Um, I have been actually looking at that video just before I jumped onto this call because I'm putting together some content for the band. And yeah, I'm scouring through all of our old music videos and finding, my young little face, all of our young little faces.
Very cute. You're taking that album out on the road again, presumably in full. Are you going to play the whole album sort of back to front to back? Is that the plan?
Yeah, we're discussing that just the other night. I don't, ultimately, this is a celebration of the album and the response from our audience to the album. And so we're really wanting to kind of give back to our audience and show our appreciation for just how far they have taken us through that album. So we're probably going to put a bit of a word out there and ask what the crowds would like to hear. But we are assuming that, the album in full, we've never done that before. We have done our latest album when we toured that 3 years ago. We played every track on that album and some extras, but not in order. So it was still like, just a kind of whole mixed bag of material. But this time we are thinking about how can we turn this album as people know it on the record into a show. So we're definitely kind of reaching deep into the bag and seeing, what we can do. And I think at this stage it might be safe to say that we'll do that. No, I'm not going to say it's safe at all. Nothing is safe. Uncharted territory. Let's go.
My opinion doesn't really matter, but if I was in Devilskin and it's for some reason was my decision, because it's the We Rise sort of anniversary, it kind of makes sense to play the whole thing, because other Devilskin shows can be the kind of the mishmash of the hits or whatever you want to do. You can play some of that album, some other albums, but because this one's the anniversary of it, I guess it makes sense to play it.
Yeah, and there are some songs on that record that we absolutely love that we haven't played probably in close to 10 years. Burning Tree and Surrender, those are some band favorites, of our songs ever across all of our records. So it would be really, really cool to kind of bring those ones back out, dust them off, and really celebrate those deeper cuts.
Do you actually have the dates and everything in front of you?
Not in front of me, but right beside me, yes.
Okay. You want to run off the dates, the venues, the towns and all that stuff for everybody?
For sure. Starting Thursday, the 30th of May in Invercargill at the ILT Stadium. The following night in Arrowtown, where we've never played before. Dunedin, I have a habit every single time we play Dunedin. I say I absolutely love this town. It's just such a cool vibe in the Union Hall. Then the following weekend, we've got a massive show in Christchurch at the Town Hall, where I think we've just allocated the last like 20 or 30 VIP tickets. They sold out in like 3 days. So that's a first for us as well. We move on to Wellington, Thursday, 13th of June at Hunter Lounge. The following night, Palmerston North at the Fly Palmy Arena. Then the next night, Saturday, 15th of June, we're playing the Toy Toy Opera House in Hastings. Friday, 21st June, Hamilton at the Factory. Saturday, 22nd of June, New Plymouth at the Mayfair. Then the final weekend, Thursday, 27th, Mount Maunganui Stadium Lounge. Friday, Whangaparoa, the Paraoa Brewing. Whangaparoa Brewing.
Cool.
And then capping it off at the Auckland Power Station on Saturday, 29th of June, which is always a great time. Auckland and Christchurch are always like massive, massive, massive parties for us. So we're really excited for that.
Nice. And this time you're taking Skinny Hobos along with you and Tadpole.
Yeah, we're kind of resurrecting the dead in a sense. I don't want to call them dead, but I know that Skinny Hobos kind of called it a day about a year ago. Sam, the drummer, he had spent a lot of time overseas, and I think a friend of ours and our manager caught wind that he was back in the country and just said, should we just see if they're keen? And they jumped on it straight away. Tadpole was an interesting one. We kind of got wind that they wanted to, they had re-released a few of their records on vinyl. I think they're about to re-release the Medusa on vinyl now, and they did the Butterfinger last year. But they've been drumming up a little bit of noise in their camp, and I think it was kind of manager to manager speaking for a bit. And yeah, they said that they were really, really keen to jump out. They had just reached out to a Christchurch singer, Emma Dilemma, to fill in on vocals with original singer Renee's blessing. So she's totally behind it. She wants to see the band go out there. Um, so yeah, it's kind of a bit of a throwback in the sense that we're celebrating this 10-year-old album, and I think Tadpole are celebrating a 21st milestone for one of their records as well. And we've brought Skinny Hobos back from the dead. So it's really exciting. We've been on tour with Skinny Hobos before, and they always bring a really cool vibe. They're really easy to get along with. There's two of them as well, so it's super low impact on our crew. And there seems to be a lot of excitement for Tadpole to kind of reunite and play those old classic songs again. So really, really excited for the night that we're taking around the country as well. It's always cool when you can kind of stick with the same lineup for the whole run and really get to know each other and put on a show together, you know?
It's more like the resurrection tour, isn't it? Because I mean, we rise is kind of, the word is connected to resurrection, and you've got two bands that had basically stopped functioning, and they're back. Your old album's back. Everything's back. That's cool.
We should hire you for marketing.
Yeah, man. I got all the skills. All right, cool. Well, that's about all the time I think we have for today, and I think we've touched on everything I was going to talk about, because you are really good at talking. I've noticed that when I did the Caesar conflict, you do have a tendency to just to start talking, and I don't even have to ask questions. You just usually just like land on all the points, and I'm like, okay, well that question's over. That question's over.
Every time I start talking, especially about band stuff, my fiance just kind of interjects if she's around. She goes, headlines, give them the headlines. They don't need the full body. Just give them headlines.
It's always good to check out all the little sort of finicky points in between that people don't usually land on. So
I've got my press mode hat on, you know.
And you've also changed your hair color.
Have I?
I haven't seen you for a while, but you used to have sort of blonde streaks or something going on.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, I went Slim Shady a couple of times. Bit of a quarter life crisis. We're past that now.
Is there anything you'd like to add to the end before we sign off?
Honestly, we're just really, really excited to celebrate this album with our favorite people, which is, you know, our fans and our supporters and our friends and family. So would love to see everyone out there. Can't wait to jump on tour with Tadpole and Skinny Hobos again. It's just going to be a big celebration, a massive party. So thanks very much for helping us spread the word. We'll really appreciate it.
Cool. It's nice to chat to you again. All right. Well, best of luck with everything. And yeah, I'll catch you later.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks for watching.